this is one of my songs, so we're going to have you sing with me on the chorus, and then I'll do the verses. Release, release, release and breathe. Release, release, release and breathe. When it does not serve you well, release, release, release and breathe. When it does not serve you well, let's do it again. Release, release, release and breathe. When it does not serve you well, release, release, release and breathe. When it does not serve you well, let go of the hatred that binds an open heart. It may not serve you well. Let go of the madness that rips people apart. It may not serve you well. Release, release, release and breathe. When it does not serve you well, release, release, release and breathe. When it does not serve you well, let go of the anguish that keeps you all alone. It may not serve you well. Let go of the smugness that turns a heart to stone. It may not serve you well. Release, release, release and breathe. When it does not serve you well, release, release, release and breathe. When it does not serve you well, does not serve, does not serve, does not serve you well.
Oh, thank you, Cindy. So Cindy tells us that as we play and work our way through each day or phase of life, we often face topsy-turvy situations that can make us feel uneasy, anxious, or fearful. Applying soothing spiritual practices at these times helps free your body, mind, and spirit from this anguish and allows us to relax, breathe, and move through life in a more pleasant and purposeful manner. Cindy will look at several spiritual practices readily available for each of us to use and soothe our souls. She's also going to address how we can help others in emotionally charged situations. So Cindy, what can we do?
Thank you very much. How's it going, man?
Good, good.
You guys haven't seen me since I chopped all my hair off.
Don't.
It's like, oh, thank you. I'm having fun with it. So I can make it sassy. I can make it curly. I can do that to it if I want to. I love that. So I'm getting it all colored in 2 weeks too. So I'll get all sorts of, yeah. I mean, why not? It's just hair, right? Let's have some fun with it. So we put in a cabin next door to my house on Anderson Island. So it's going to be like a glamping Airbnb. Cabin's in, decorated beautifully. My partner just finished the deck and the stairs. So my cousins were coming over to be the first ones to spend the night in the building. So they were over Friday to Saturday, and they didn't end up spending the night. They were there for like 7 minutes until they saw a spider. And then all of a sudden they came tramping back across to the house with a flashlight. And I went, oh, okay. Well, so I went and got the peppermint. There's a peppermint oil you can spray that kind of deters, so it's non-toxic or anything, and that deters spiders. And I'm like, okay, but you can come into my house and stay. But there are spiders in my house as well. But it was super cute. Anyway, her two kids, I think they're like right now first and third. No, kindergarten, second grade. Kindergarten, second grade. I might be wrong. Might be first and third. You know how they grow so fast, right? So they're at that age though where there's kind of this power thing going on between them, and there's this extra bickering, and you see them go out of their way to bother the other one. And then you see the other one go out of their way to bother the other one. And almost every time, once one of them bothers the other one, then the next word you hear out of one of the mouth is, Mom! He's not blah, blah, blah. Mom, she's blah, blah, blah. And so, and they're really bright kids, because it's not just like, oh, they did this, but then they meant to. They're like giving them intentions. Like their intention is to bother me, or their intention is to, to hurt my feelings or whatever. It's very, very cute. But after a while, I got kind of tired of listening. So they were there, and they started in on something, and the boy goes, "Mom," and I jumped right in. I went, "No, no, no, no." And they call me Auntie, even because I'm actually that we're first cousins, thrice removed or whatever, But they call me Auntie because I'm old and they're young, right? So Auntie fits better, right? So I go with that. But I just jumped in. I went, "Nah, nah, no, no, you," because we've been saying this all along. It's like, you two work it out. You can't keep going, "Mom, this," and so I'm just like, "No, I've had enough. You two need to work it out or separate." And then Luke started whining again. So I'm like, "No, no, no, you could go somewhere else until you're ready, and then you come back," right? Well, he felt like I was talking to just him. So, and even though I was talking to both of them, right? So he thought I was talking to just him. So he was like, "Oh, it's not fair." And his feelings were, he's a very sensitive kid. He's a very sensitive kid. Love these two kids. Oh my gosh, I have so much fun with them. So he goes he goes into the dining room. Now I have a big room, giant room. So the dining room, the living room, and the kitchen are all one room. But he left the area where we were on the couches, and he went over and he climbs under the table in the dining area. And so I'm looking at his mom, and I know his mom just wants to go over there because she's just, her baby's in pain, right? I want to go save him. And so I'm just letting him see if he can self-soothe, because that's a really great skill to have, If he was a cat, you just start purring, right? If you're a dog, just wag your tail. But he's a person, so let's see what kind of tools he has to self-soothe. So we don't let him, like, a few minutes went by, maybe 4 minutes or something, and you go, he's not doing really well. So I look up at his mom and I go, "How's he doing on the self-soothing?" And she's like, "Yeah." So she feels like she's going to go over and give him a little hand, which is great. So she walks over there, and she's over there because her heart's breaking. She wants to go over there and, give him a big hug and everything, but he's under my table, right? And my table is actually has the two benches. It's like a outdoor, it's like, the benches, and that, like, she's 40. What is she gonna do, right? So she goes over there. She goes, "Luke, come on out." And he's like, "No." And then all of a sudden, I'm like sitting there, and I go, "Now we've got a power struggle." She wasn't going over there to do a power struggle. She was going over to comfort him. But all of a sudden, now we've got a power struggle, because she's like, "Yeah, no, just coming out." "No, I don't want to. I'm not going to." So now this totally changes the dynamic. And I'm like, "Oh crap." So what do? I'm 60 something. I climb under the table. So I move the bench, and I'm like, "Oh, well, great, I'll come down and visit you." So I move the bench, and I climb down under the table with him, and I get down there on the floor, and I'm laying there. And I say, "Oh," so now I'm giving him a choice. I said, "Do you want to stay down here and talk with me, or do you want to get out and talk with your mom?" So now I've just removed the power struggle, because now he has a choice. And so he thinks like, he's going to get out, because he's like, "Oh, my auntie's here." And then he's like, "No, I'll stay under here with you." So I'm like, "Great." So I go, "Well, tell me your woes. Tell me what's going on." And so I'm saying it loud enough so that his mom can hear everything that we're saying. And that way she can follow up with whatever we're doing. So I go, "Tell me your woes." So he's like, "My sister always blah, 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 blah." I'm like, "Oh, I am sorry that feels like that. She just doesn't care about me." So I do challenge well, we know that we don't like her behavior, but we don't really know what she's thinking or what she's trying to do, right? "Yeah, okay. But that does not sound any fun." So, well, what can you do about it later when you're not feeling so bad? "I don't know." So we chat. I throw out a few ideas. He's like, "Oh, I can maybe do that." And I said, "And when you decide to come out and you feel better, you could talk with your mom about this. I'm sure she's got lots of good ideas." "Yeah, I could do that." I go, "Okay." And then, when she came over here, she was really heartbroken that you were suffering. She actually came over to, like, comfort you. That's what she wanted to do. "Oh, really?" "Yeah." "Okay." And then about that time, she says something about, "Well, you want to come out?" And he's like, "Okay." So he climbs out from underneath the table. 10 minutes later, I climb out from didn't take that. It was like 9, but Um, so he goes over there to his mom. They have a great little conversation, wraps up, and they're going to talk later and figure out what, they got to do and to do differently and stuff like that. Um, and that's when you're like, it's a really cool thing that, I mean, there's a part where we have our own like soothing things that we can do for ourselves, right? But there's also that part when if sometimes we are missing it, that we have the community of someone else who can step in. So I was really, grateful that that worked out and that my cousin didn't beat me for crawling under the table, that, so but I started thinking about like, what do we do when it's a little more, it's when you want to have the spiritual practices, the soothing part, because on the inner deep parts of us, what do we do? And so I started thinking about when I worked in Hawaii, when I lived in Hawaii for 4 years, and I taught anger management classes for teenagers, and they came to me from family court. So if they beat someone up at school, like, whatever. So they're in my anger management class. And so there's two things we talked about. One was triggers, and they took time to identify the things that pissed them off. And we said that's an official word in anger management, pissed off. You could use that word because, what is I'm ticked off? That really doesn't mean anything. So anyway, they would address these triggers of things that made them angry. And it wasn't just like, people. Well, no. What is it that, be more specific? Like, what is it that they do? Rude people. Okay, but what specifically? I mean, yes. Well, what is it? What actual rude part that you don't like? And then they would be able to, clarify what those things were. And by knowing their triggers, it helped them be prepared. So for me, I knew like I give an example. One of mine is I don't like standing in long lines. I just get bored. I realize what it is. I'm mentally bored standing in a long line. Unless you're standing with really exciting company. And fortunately, the partner I have right now, he's great. So he's very, very entertaining. So it really makes a difference. But it's the same like sitting in traffic. To me, my brain gets bored and I feel like I'm not doing anything and I'm a doer, right? So I realize why those are triggers, right? So now I can say, well, when I'm going to get in a long line, what am I going to do? I can prepare ahead of time. So there's things that I do to take care of that. So the other hand, there's the triggers. The other part was the reducers, things that you do to calm down. And that's exactly what that is. Those are soothing things. And I earlier, even some of the things that we're reading in that passage was beautiful. But we all know, like, you go for a walk, right? Take yourself away from the situation. Take a nap. Maybe listen to music, read a book. Some people love to clean the house or clean their car, and that's very relaxing for them, right? So things that you can do that bring your levels of anger back down, it's a way of, soothing or calming yourself. It's the same thing. So those were the different things that we did there. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Again, that's self-soothing stuff. But what about spiritual practices? Because I think the thing about spiritual practices is they really go deep. They really can connect. They can be sustained. They can be life-changing. So I'm going to just talk about 3. One is music. And listening to music, we all know that, that's very, very calming. But I want to talk at it as a spiritual practice. It becomes a spiritual practice when we're listening to music that changes us. So lyrics can be really key. What lyrics do you want to be listening to? Like I have friends who do hip hop. And it's so fun watching this stuff. And then I listen to the music. I'm like, there's songs that I don't want to hear. I really don't want to hear. It's embarrassing. I feel like it makes me feel crappy, and if it's sexist, then I feel bad as a woman. And I'm like, I don't want that, right? So to be soothing, that would not be, even though I'm still going to go and watch it because I love the hip hop and I love the beats to the songs and all that stuff, right? But as a soothing practice, it wouldn't be that for me. So lyrics, music. Some people can just do it on like classical or instrumental music because the way the music is presented, it just really speaks to your soul. And those times that you felt relaxed when you're listening to the music. But when I say about life changing, is when it hits you in such a way that you start to think about something differently. You start to see something differently in the way you're looking at it, or you start to feel differently about yourself. And I'm going to just throw this one. That was when I was just right at the beginning of my divorce, when I knew it was going to happen. My husband came out of the closet as a gay man after 14 years of marriage. And so I was, as we decided to get divorced, I'm like losing my best friend. So it was very, very traumatic in ways. But we both wanted him to make sure he could have a full life that he deserved. But I remember I would listen to Josh Groban's Confessions, and I would be in the car driving up to Park City from Salt Lake City, where I worked, up to Park City, and I would just have that blaring in my car. And the thing about it is, I'm not going to sing it because he's so fantastic, but what it did was it changed the way I felt about me. That the song is, he's singing like, all of a sudden it's like, I'm like you've been here in front of me, and now I realize you are the one. And I think just by listening to that, it's like, that is how somebody's going to feel about me. Or that's the way I've maybe started. I grabbed onto that, and I felt that specialness that he was singing about to that person. And I needed that. And it did change the way I felt about myself. And so, yeah, I would listen to it over and over, because that's what it's doing. It's changing the way I was feeling about myself. So words are very significant. I really went from a place where I was feeling like I'm such a loser to I'm actually a neat person. So I'm actually going to play a song that I wrote, that I used also, that I did over and over and over. It's fun when you're writing a song, because when you're writing a song, can I put this down so you can see better? Like that. When I'm writing a song, you're singing it over and over, because you're trying different nuances, and you want to make sure it's all connected and all that stuff, So when I was writing this, it was in a dark time in my life. Let me stop and think first, because I'm a doer, but I'm not a doer and thinker at the same time. Those things don't go together. So this totally came out of, and it kind of was. I got to give you a little background in the sense that I have a master's degree in theology, and so I really loved the Bible for a lot of years, and I took the idea of like a psalm, like. A psalm is often, if you look at them, they're often talking about the future. Like they're change agents, and it's music, right? But it's about, this is what I have, but this is what I'm gonna be like. This is what it's gonna be like for me. So I took that idea of the psalm, but then I also used some references to Jonah in there. He falls into the sea, and they throw him over to the sea or whatever. And then there's references to the 23rd Psalm and the shepherd in the valley of the shadow of death. So I changed the words so it's like you don't go, oh yeah, that's right from there, but the ideas are coming from that, as well as in the New Testament, where the importance of the lilies of the field and the birds of the air and stuff like that. So those are the references that I threw in here, trying to create this kind of like maybe a modern day psalm for myself to overcome the despair I was feeling. I think I might have done this quite a while ago, but I'm going to do it again just because it fits so perfectly. Night sets in and my mind darkens, clouding out my hopes and dreams. And there I bask in heated dread about my future, and I find it hard to breathe, alone and drowning in black water, tumbling deep beneath the sea, calling out for my God to come and save me. Then I find I am on the beach, wings on wind soar over ocean water, flowers bloom amid the desert sand, Life's not fair, or so they tell me. Life is hard and then you die. But I believe in so much more than just this misery. And I know I'm gonna be alright if I cling to the shepherd who knows the canyons where I lived and will lead me out into the open pastures. And it's here I will learn to live. Wings on wind soar over ocean water. Flowers bloom amid the desert sand. But if you say to me, I'm more important than these, then I will place my fears. And this life you claim is dear in your hands. In your hands. In your hands. In your hands. When I did this in a prison, I got a standing ovation. And the reason it was so significant to me, it wasn't like, oh, okay, I got a standing ovation. It just told me that it connected with the people that, you know, I mean, we'd been doing all these gospel songs and stuff like that. And then I did that and they just all stood up. And I thought, that's the part where I go, why I'm a songwriter. If I can write something that connects to somebody that they can identify with, and if it brings any source of healing and comfort. And that's the way I took that. So I was thrilled. So again, music, you know what's going to work for you, but music is a spiritual practice that soothes your soul and mind and body, right? But the idea of it really is when it starts to change you. That's what you're looking at, something that changes you. And so that's that repetitive part. So now I'm going to talk about forgiveness. And we all know a little bit about forgiveness, right? But I am going to talk about it because I think it's an important soothing spiritual practice, because you know what? Forgiveness is about you, not the other person. In case you missed that. Forgiveness is about you and not the other person. You think of someone with whom you still are angry with, right? Or you have some tension there. You know, well, who's carrying that tension? You are. This is nothing new. I'm just going to just chat about it a little bit, but we're the ones carrying that tension. Remember, for the longest time, I think up until just a year ago, and I've been divorced 20 years. When I would see something of my ex-husband's, I felt bad about myself. So when I finally could say, now I'm tired of feeling like that, what is that connected to? Well, I think it's still connected to some part of forgiveness, even though I say, yeah, I forgive him. It's like, I mean, it was so hard to go through all that because I actually loved this man. And then the stuff we went through, and then being a single mom, I'm not cut out for it and all, you know, whatever. I mean, I sucked it up and did it, but it's like, I'm going to be a whiner there for a second. But I just remember thinking, no, somehow I'm not forgiving something, right? And it's not impacting him. It's me. I'm the one holding on. That I see one of his watercolor paintings and I feel bad about myself. Well, what am I going to do with that? I'm the one that's losing out on that, right? I'm the one lugging it around. So it's the one that's impacting me. So I love that with the forgiveness, because oh, you know, they didn't treat me right. They harmed me. They wronged me. And it's like, yeah, they did those things. But the forgiveness is your stuff. Now, it doesn't mean you have to say, oh, it's okay. Let's still be friends. No worries, I'm fine. Doesn't mean that stuff. We're not talking about that. Doesn't mean you have to go out and be buds for the rest of your life or whatever, or to hang out with the person. But it is simply saying, how do I get rid of whatever it is inside that's been hurt? How do I get rid of that? So we all know forgiveness is not something that happens overnight, but it's a process. So whenever you're processed, so that last little bit was my last little residual, right? And so it was funny about a year ago when I noticed that, and I changed something about the way I was thinking. All of a sudden I'm like, and I've got his pictures all in my like bathroom, and my partner, like, he doesn't care. He's like, oh, that's so cool, those are so pretty, you know. And I look at it now and I'm like, those are so cool and those are so pretty. There's no more of that anymore. And I'm like, that's the final little piece. That's 20 years. But look where, you know, that I finally got there. I was just thrilled to be able to go, I don't feel bad about myself anymore. It's also not about waiting. You don't need to wait for them to say they're sorry, because you know that may never happen, right? You don't need to wait for them to acknowledge that they did you wrong. I just want them to come say I'm sorry. I just want them to come over and tell me that they didn't mean it. It's like, no, you don't wait for that. You don't have to. You don't have to wait for them to make it up to you. Some of those things are never going to happen. That's the thing about forgiveness, is you get to do your own forgiveness work, and you can move on no matter what else is happening. No matter how they are treating you or ignoring you or whatever, you may need to remove yourself from the position. I'm not saying keep at whatever's going on, for sure. I'm not saying that. But whatever you're harboring inside is something you can work on to let go. Because that is what forgiveness is not harboring. And it's not trying to mentally or emotionally punish the other person. Oh, I could just get them back and make them feel as bad as I'm feeling. Then we're even. Oh, great. Now you have two miserable people walking around. Is that what you wanted? No, not really, right? But the thing about that, when you're doing any of that, is you're still staying connected to your tension. You're feeding your tension. You're feeding your grief. You're feeding your pain, your anger, whatever it is. You're continuing to be connected to it. You're acknowledging it. You're feeding it. You're fueling it, right? Like I said, you don't have to be friends. I mean, it may be that there are people that get that and all of a sudden they're friends again, or, you know, the forgiveness or their partners. I'm just saying, the thing about forgiveness is you work through forgiveness. Don't plan on an end thing. Like, well, this is what it's going to be like. You work through your forgiveness and something will unfold for you, but you don't necessarily know what that path is going to look like with that person or that job or whatever it is. You get to make that decision, what you want to do with that as you move forward. But you're replacing your pain, which stifles us. It binds us. And you're replacing it with peace and joy. Okay, let's look at that again. Pain, stifling, binding, peace, and joy. Where would you like to be? Duh. Now I say that, but I just want us to get that image, because, like, even though forgiveness, it does take time, if we're focusing on the peace and the joy, that's how we move there. And we know that that's how we move there. But if we're constantly coming back to the whining of this happened, they're going to pay, you know, that keeps us there, which keeps us from being fully alive. I just wanted to pull the one scripture out that I like, that's in Matthew. When Peter comes to Jesus and he goes, oh, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister or non-binary sibling who sins against me? Up to 7 times? That's a lot. You think about that, right? Jesus goes, how about 70 times 7? That's a lot of freaking times. Because you know what? Forgiveness is about you and not the other person. I mean, that's what he's saying. Forgiveness is about, he didn't say, well, no, you wait until they come to you and tell you that they're sorry, they didn't mean it, or that they were wrong. Then you can start your forgiveness process. No, it's like, nope, 70 times 7. It's about you, not about them. I don't want to make fun of the fact when people hurt us, right? But I mean, because sometimes it's easier to laugh at it, right? And then deal with it too. But we know things hurt. Things don't just go away. But how do I release? Release. How do I release the pain? How do I release whatever I'm harboring and holding on to? Release your bitterness, release your hate, release your suffering. Set yourself free. Set yourself free. Excuse me just a second. Yeah, uh-oh is right, because I didn't know you snuck in there, Alfredo. So I got to get him dressed. Hang on. Dressed on my hand there. Okay. Hey, I'm Alfredo, like the sauce. Hi. Yes, I have a story to tell you. I've been practicing this. Oh, that's got to be good. Yes, and I'll need your help. Okay. What do you need? Well, I need you to tie me up with that bungee. My pleasure. This bungee here? Yep. Okay. Okay, let's tie him up. Get your hands in there? Yep. Okay. Sorry for the extra noise. Is that good? Yep. Okay, now let me get this off here. Yep. Not very good at that, are you? No, I bet. You see if you can carry on with that. Okay, now here's my point. Look at me, I'm all bunched up. My arms are stuck in, I can't move them. I'm bound. Nice. Yep. Well, not nice. So this reminds me of forgiveness. When I'm not forgiving, I'm like this. I'm limited. I'm stuck. I can't do that much. But when I get unbound, hey, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Excuse me. But when I'm unbound, sorry about that. Then I can wave my arms. I'm free to cook whatever I want, because I'm a good cook. That is for sure. So that's what, like, think of it. Bound, unforgiving. Forgiveness, free. That's all. I gotta go. Bye. Thank you, Alfredo. I appreciate that. That visual was good. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Sorry I wasn't paying attention there. He said to me that he was happy to take questions after the service, but right now, so if anyone wants to know under more of that. So first one was music. Second one is forgiveness, and there's so much about, there's great books out there on forgiveness. The third one is releasing and letting go. And instead of talking about it, I'm actually going to move us into the meditation, and we're going to practice a releasing and letting go meditation for that. So I am going to just kind of move over here to the piano. So get yourself comfortable. You know, if you do this and you fall asleep, it just meant you needed sleep. Don't worry about it. That's what I always did during meditations. I do like the centering prayer with the Catholic Church. I would usually be awake for about 10 minutes and the rest of the time. But when I woke up, I felt so refreshed, right? So get yourself comfortable. Sit however you're comfortable. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, close your eyes. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. And I'm going to ask you to go inward. And just notice your body. Move around. Notice any areas that are tense, that feel tense. Locate that spot. Is it in your gut? Is it in your heart chakra? Is it in your head? If you have a spot that you've identified that's tense or uneasy, feels stressful, just give me a little hand up in the air briefly so I can see that people have something. Okay, if you don't have something, another way to do this is just you can think about something that is annoying you, that's been annoying you. Find something annoying because maybe it's not lodged in your body, but it's occupying your mind. So somewhere where somebody has done something to you and you find yourself annoyed with it, or a situation. So try to find something there. And I'm going to ask a series of questions. Why is that there? That annoyance, that knot, that uneasiness, why is it there? What does it represent? Ask yourself that question and just reflect on that for a little bit. Why am I hanging on to that? What's it connected to? Is it connected to a person? A situation? Is it connected to a belief about yourself or about your life? See if you can identify just some things that fit with those questions. Now I want you to look at what the role it's playing. What is it providing you with? Why are you hanging on to that? What's the role it's playing? Is it letting you be a victim? Is it letting you feel sorry for yourself? Is it giving you an excuse to be a certain way? Or an excuse not to thrive? What's the role that it's playing? Acknowledge the role. Give it a name if you can. It takes the power away. What do you want to replace it with? What would you rather have there instead? Comfort? Peace? Joy? See if you can identify what you'd like to replace it with. Now I want you to see that part of you that you have identified. Just watch it wash away. Wash away as the music moves down. It just flows out of you, flows away from you. And now claim the thing that you want to replace it with. Claim it, own it, grab it, hold it. It's yours for the taking. Say, this is mine. I am this. I am happiness. I am peace. I am thriving. Give it a name. I am. The most powerful thing you can be is I am. notice that feeling or that thought come back to you, take a moment and let it wash away again and claim that replacement that you wanted. All to Spirit, I surrender. All to you I freely give. I will ever love and trust you. In your presence I daily live. And I surrender all. I surrender all to you, my precious Spirit. I surrender all to Spirit. I surrender humbly on my knees. I bow. I will ever love and trust you. Letting go and step